Women don't reject men the way most men expect. They don't sit you down. They don't explain themselves. They don't offer closure. Instead, they pull away quietly while you're still texting, still showing up, still believing things are moving forward. The energy cools, the replies shorten, and without realizing it, you're no longer being chosen. You're being kept. Most men don't lose a woman because they did something wrong. They lose her because they failed to notice the exact moment her interest disappeared. And by the time they finally feel it, the decision has already been made. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Women reveal their level of interest almost immediately, not through words, but through behavior. If you don't know how to read that behavior, you end up investing where respect has already evaporated. If you do know how to read it, you stop wasting emotional energy and you reclaim your power. Women aren't confusing. They're consistent. What confuses men is that they keep listening to words instead of watching patterns. In this video, I'm breaking down 5 instant signs that expose when a woman isn't interested, so you're never left guessing where you stand. Each one shows you exactly how she's positioning you in her mind. If this kind of clarity matters to you, like the video and subscribe. This channel is for men who want to understand women without losing themselves, and it starts by seeing what's right in front of you. Most men grow up believing a simple rule. If a woman isn't interested, she'll say it. She'll be honest, direct, and clear. That belief feels reassuring, and it's completely wrong. Women rarely reject men with words. They reject them with behavior, quietly, gradually, without ever announcing it. And this is where so many men lose power without realizing it, because they keep waiting for a verbal answer that is never coming. Here's the part no one prepares you for. Saying no costs women something. It creates tension. It invites confrontation. It risks backlash. So instead of closing a door completely, most women leave it slightly open. Not because they want you, but because keeping options costs them nothing. They avoid the word no to preserve choice. They soften disinterest to avoid conflict. And they allow just enough attention to keep validation flowing. From the outside, it looks confusing. From the inside, it's extremely consistent. This is why men stay longer than they should. They keep explaining, they keep adjusting, they keep giving more, believing effort will turn ambiguity into desire. But attraction doesn't grow through negotiation. It fades when a man ignores what's already being shown. Behavior is the truth language here. It always has been. When interest is present, it appears naturally through attention, warmth, investment, and ease. When interest is gone, it doesn't disappear loudly. It withdraws in small, deniable ways. And the man who understands this doesn't argue with reality. He reads it early. Power doesn't come from forcing clarity out of someone who benefits from staying vague. Power comes from recognizing patterns before emotional investment turns into emotional debt. The strongest men aren't waiting to be chosen. They're observing whether a woman is choosing them at all. Once you stop expecting honesty in words, you start seeing honesty everywhere else, in how she looks at you, in how she responds, in how she prioritizes or doesn't. And when you learn to trust behavior over hope, you stop chasing explanations. You stop performing for approval. You stop offering effort where interest has already expired. That shift alone changes everything, because now you're no longer reacting. You're reading the situation as it is and deciding accordingly. And that brings us to the first place women reveal the truth long before they ever say it out loud. Number 1, her eyes are already leaving. Before a woman pulls away with words, she pulls away with attention, and attention always leaves through the eyes first. When a woman is genuinely interested, her focus settles. Her gaze stays with you, not out of politeness, but because nothing else in the room feels more relevant than the man in front of her. When interest drops, her eyes stop landing and start searching. She looks past you instead of at you, over your shoulder, toward the door, toward movement, toward possibilities. Her attention fractures, and once you know what to look for, it's impossible to miss. The eyes don't linger, they dart, they disengage, they move like she's already somewhere else mentally because she is. Men often misread this. They assume distraction means nerves, shyness, or boredom that can be fixed with better conversation. So they talk more, they explain more, they try harder, and that's the mistake. A woman doesn't look away when she's deciding how to connect with you. She looks away when she's deciding what else might be better. You'll see it everywhere once you stop ignoring it. At a bar, she scans the room every time someone walks in. At a coffee shop, her phone comes out mid-conversation, not because it rang, but because her interest did. In texting, she leaves your message unread while staying active everywhere else. That's not busyness, that's priority. Here's the part most men resist accepting. Women look at what they're still considering. When she's interested, her eyes naturally return to you. When they don't, it's because she's already evaluating other options. And the more you push when her eyes are elsewhere, the lower your value drops. Attention can't be negotiated. It responds to presence, not pressure. The strongest move here isn't competing harder, it's noticing sooner. When you pull your energy back instead of chasing her attention, something shifts. You stop feeding an interaction that's already losing momentum. You stop auditioning, and suddenly the dynamic changes. Not because you demanded anything, but because you removed what was being taken for granted. A man who doesn't chase wandering eyes becomes the man whose absence is felt when he stops trying to be seen. And that's when interest either recalibrates or disappears completely. Either way, you win by refusing to lie to yourself. Number 2, her voice loses emotional color. A woman's voice will always reveal how she feels before her words ever do. You can hear attraction, you can hear curiosity, and you can hear when interest has quietly drained from the interaction. When a woman is into you, her voice carries movement. It rises and falls. It speeds up. It softens. There's warmth in it, an effortless liveliness that doesn't require effort. That's chemistry at work. Interest creates energy, and energy reshapes tone. When interest fades, the voice flattens. Responses shorten. The pace slows. The tone turns neutral, almost mechanical, not angry, not emotional, just empty. And this is where men misinterpret what's happening. They tell themselves she's tired, stressed, busy, or having a long week. Anything except the truth. But listen to the contrast. She sounds animated with friends, engaged on the phone, alive when talking about something that excites her. Then she turns to you, and the color disappears. Same woman, same day, different energy. That's not exhaustion. That's selective disengagement. Texting follows the same pattern. When interest exists, messages have rhythm. Emojis appear naturally. Words stretch. Replies feel present. When interest fades, communication gets stripped down to the minimum. One-word answers. Delays without explanation. Conversations that feel like obligations instead of exchanges. The worst thing a man can do here is overcompensate. He adds more enthusiasm to fill the gap. He becomes more expressive to counter her flatness. He tries to revive something that's already losing oxygen. But attraction doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to polarity. When one side drains, the other leaning in only deepens the imbalance. Silence, restraint, and emotional control do more than excitement ever could in this moment. When you stop rewarding low energy with high effort, the dynamic changes. You communicate without saying a word that you won't carry an interaction alone, and that either forces her interest to resurface or exposes that it's already gone. Both outcomes protect you. Both save time. A man who doesn't chase emotional leftovers becomes the man whose presence is felt when he withdraws it. And that quiet shift leads to something most men never see coming. The moment her tone doesn't just flatten but starts positioning you beneath her. There's a very specific moment where everything changes, and most men miss it completely. It's not when she leaves. It's not when she ghosts. It's not when she says she's confused. You feel the shift before you can explain it. The warmth fades, the ease disappears, and instead of stepping back, you lean in. You explain more. You loosen your boundaries. You try to be more patient, more understanding, more accommodating, hoping effort will bring back what quietly vanished. That's the pivot. That's where power starts leaking out. Men are taught that persistence equals strength. But in attraction, persistence in the face of withdrawal reads as insecurity. The more you explain yourself, the more you negotiate for connection, the more you reveal that you're emotionally invested in an outcome she's already moving away from. And right here, without a single argument, your position changes. Number 3, her tone starts placing you beneath her. Tone isn't just sound, it's hierarchy. When a woman respects you, her tone carries openness, curiosity, softness. There's space for you in it. But when she no longer fears losing you, that tone sharpens. She interrupts. She sounds impatient. Her answers get clipped. She sighs. She rushes you. Nothing obvious, nothing dramatic, just enough edge to see what you'll tolerate. And that quiet shift leads to something most men never see coming. The moment her tone doesn't just flatten, but starts positioning you beneath her, there's a very specific moment where everything changes, and most men miss it completely. It's not when she leaves, it's not when she ghosts, it's not when she says she's confused. You feel the shift before you can explain it. The warmth fades, the ease disappears, and instead of stepping back, you lean in. You explain more. You loosen your boundaries. You try to be more patient, more understanding, more accommodating, hoping effort will bring back what quietly vanished. That's the pivot. That's where power starts leaking out. Men are taught that persistence equals strength, but in attraction, persistence in the face of withdrawal reads as insecurity. The more you explain yourself, the more you negotiate for connection, the more you reveal that you're emotionally invested in an outcome she's already moving away from. And right here, without a single argument, your position changes. Number 3, her tone starts placing you beneath her. Tone isn't just sound, it's hierarchy. When a woman respects you, her tone carries openness, curiosity, softness. There's space for you in it. But when she no longer fears losing you, that tone sharpens. She interrupts. She sounds impatient. Her answers get clipped. She sighs. She rushes you. Nothing obvious, nothing dramatic. Just enough edge to see what you'll tolerate. And most men tolerate it. They brush it off. They rationalize it. They tell themselves she's stressed. But what she's actually doing is recalibrating the dynamic, testing how much distance she can create without you pushing back. Here's the part that stings. Women don't lower their tone with men they value. They lower it with men they believe will stay anyway. Watch the contrast. Notice how she speaks to someone she wants to impress. Then notice how she speaks to you. That difference is information, and it's more honest than anything she'll ever say. The mistake men make here is continuing to invest while their status is being quietly downgraded. They reward dismissiveness with patience, disrespect with understanding. And every time they do, the imbalance locks in deeper. Respect doesn't come from demanding better treatment. It comes from refusing to participate when the standard drops. Silence does more than arguments ever could. Pulling back does more than pleading. Calm withdrawal communicates something words never will. This version of you doesn't get access to me. And that's the moment the dynamic either corrects itself or ends. So ask yourself honestly, why are you still investing where respect is already gone? Number 4, her body is closing even if her mouth isn't. A woman can say the right things and still be telling you no. Her body will always be more honest than her words because it doesn't negotiate, it reacts. When interest is present, the body opens naturally. When it's gone, the body pulls away before the mind ever explains why. This is instinctive, not calculated, and that's why it's so reliable. When a woman is drawn to you, her body orients toward you without effort. Her shoulders face you, her torso leans in, her feet point your way. There's ease in how she occupies space around you. She isn't guarding herself, she's available. When that changes, everything subtly shifts. Arms cross, legs angle away. She leans back instead of forward. Small barriers appear, a drink held between you, a bag adjusted, her body turning slightly toward the room instead of toward you. None of it is dramatic, but all of it is deliberate on a biological level. Men often ignore these signals because her words haven't changed yet. She's still being polite, still saying yeah or sure or maybe, and that politeness keeps men leaning in when they should be stepping back. But here's the truth most men miss. Women can say yes out of courtesy. Their bodies never do. Watch how this plays out. On a date, the first half feels open. Conversation flows. She leans closer. Then something shifts. The chair slides back an inch. Her posture closes. She stops mirroring you. That isn't random. That's withdrawal. In group settings, it's even clearer. Instead of angling toward you, She angles toward her friends. She leans into them, not you. Physical proximity follows interest. Distance follows disengagement. Even in texting, this shows up. Responses slow. Plans turn vague. Maybe replaces specifics. That's physical distance translated into behavior. The same closing, just expressed digitally. The mistake men make here is pressing forward. They move closer when she moves back. They increase effort when her body is signaling retreat, and every step forward she didn't invite lowers perceived value. Attraction breathes through space. When you ignore her need for distance, you smother what little interest might still exist. The man who notices this early doesn't argue with it. He mirrors the distance. He relaxes back. He stops pushing, and that restraint does something powerful. It forces honesty into the dynamic. Because when you stop advancing on someone who's retreating, their interest either returns or reveals that it was already gone. Both outcomes protect you. Number 5, zero investment is the loudest rejection. This is the strongest sign of all because it removes all ambiguity. When a woman is interested, she invests. She asks questions. She adds energy. She participates. Interest naturally creates effort. When that effort disappears, the message is already clear. And yet this is the sign men resist accepting the most. Instead of effort, you start getting placeholders, short replies, delayed responses, conversations that never move anywhere. She answers, but she doesn't engage. She reacts, but she doesn't initiate. You carry the interaction while she simply receives it. This isn't confusion. It's positioning. Modern dating calls it breadcrumbing, giving just enough attention to keep you present, but never enough to move forward. From a power perspective, it's simple. She's keeping you warm while waiting to see if something better appears. Look at how it plays out. You ask questions. She answers without asking anything back. You suggest plans. She says, maybe, or we'll see, or I'll let you know. Specifics disappear. Commitment gets postponed. Momentum dies slowly but deliberately. And the most revealing part, she isn't absent, she's active, just not with you. She's online, she's posting, she's engaging elsewhere. So when men say she's just busy, what they're really doing is protecting themselves from the truth. Because admitting she's choosing not to invest is uncomfortable. Here's the insight most men never hear. Attention that costs nothing has no value. When you keep giving time, validation, and emotional energy to someone who isn't matching it, you teach her exactly how little effort is required to keep you. You lower your own price by offering yourself at a discount. Women don't respect access that doesn't have conditions, and they don't fear losing what never asks for investment in return. The shift happens when you stop filling the silence, when you end conversations instead of dragging them, when you stop chasing clarity from someone benefiting from your uncertainty, not as punishment but as self-respect. A man who requires mutual investment doesn't announce it. He demonstrates it by what he no longer gives away freely. And here's the part that changes everything. Most men are afraid to pull back because they think it guarantees loss. But staying when there's no investment guarantees something worse. You remain visible, available, and easily replaceable. When you step back, one of two things happens. She steps forward or she disappears. Both outcomes tell you exactly where you stand, and both save you from investing in a position you were never meant to hold. There's a reason some men never get breadcrumbed, never get kept warm, never get slowly faded out. It isn't because they're louder, smoother, or more aggressive. It's because they move through relationships with a different internal posture. They don't chase interest. They screen for it. When you look at the 5 signs together, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The wandering eyes, the flat voice, the sharp tone, the closing body, the disappearing effort. None of these are random. They're all responses to one thing: how available you are without requiring anything in return. Women don't test men they fear losing. They test men they believe will stay no matter how little they give. And this is where everything locks in. The man women respect doesn't demand clarity. He doesn't ask for reassurance. He doesn't argue with mixed signals. He notices once and adjusts accordingly, not emotionally, strategically. He doesn't over-explain when energy drops. He doesn't negotiate when tone shifts. He doesn't lean in when interest pulls away. He withdraws access. That doesn't mean becoming cold or resentful. It means having standards. His time, attention, and emotional presence aren't free samples. They're given in response to reciprocity, not hope. This is the shift from tactics to identity. When you stop asking women to choose you and start observing whether they already are, everything changes. You're no longer reacting to signals. You're filtering for alignment. And women feel that immediately because the rarest thing in dating isn't confidence, it's selectiveness. A man who can walk away from low interest without drama becomes a man whose presence carries weight, not because he's playing games, but because he's no longer playing himself. And once that identity settles in, you don't need to memorize signs anymore. You recognize the pattern early, respond calmly, and never wonder why you keep ending up in the same position. Women don't walk away suddenly. They leave quietly, long before the goodbye ever happens. By the time most men realize something is wrong, the decision has already been made, not in words, but in behavior. Interest didn't vanish overnight. It withdrew in pieces. Attention faded, tone shifted, effort disappeared. And the men who get hurt the most are the ones who kept investing, hoping things would return to how they were. This is the real divide. On one side is the man who keeps giving, adjusting, and waiting until he's drained and confused. On the other is the man who notices early, responds calmly, and refuses to stay where he isn't valued. The difference isn't confidence. It isn't looks. It isn't luck. It's awareness and the willingness to act on it. If you've ever felt like you were doing everything right and still not being chosen, this is why. You weren't failing. You were staying too long after the signs were already there. And the moment you stop doing that, everything changes. Because when you stop chasing interest, you stop rewarding indifference. When indifference stops being rewarded, respect either shows up or the situation removes itself. Both outcomes protect you. If this perspective resonates, subscribe to the channel. This space is for men who want clarity instead of confusion, strength instead of self-betrayal, and standards instead of hope. And if you recognized one of these signs in your own life, leave a comment. Awareness starts with honesty.